Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday, June 15th. Just a spectacular weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Great Lakes, the Northeast U.S. Dew points this morning as we begin the new work week are in the low 50s in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Anytime you have dew points that low, you know you're in a spectacular, refreshing type of air mass, and you probably have high pressure to the north. Indeed, we do have high pressure to the north, and that will control the weather, at least all the way down into central Virginia for the next couple of days with more comfortable conditions. Again, high temperatures will be confined to the 70s, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and that certainly is below normal for this time of the year. Meanwhile, if you were in southern Virginia, down across the Carolinas, out to West Virginia, different story over the past weekend with significant rainfall. That rain threat will continue over the next 24 to 48 hours or so in that part of the nation. Eventually, later this week, looks like that area of moisture will try to make some headway to the north, maybe have an impact in places like D.C., Philadelphia, maybe even New York City later in the week. It will also be weakening at that time, so we'll have to monitor that setup for later in the week over the next couple of days. Meanwhile, as we begin the new work week, again, very strong high pressure situated to the north, southeastern part of Canada, sending some cool air right into the Mid-Atlantic region, cool for this time of the year. But down a little bit farther south, there's low pressure along the South Carolina coastline, a stationary front draping across the southeastern U.S., and this entire area right here, West Virginia, southern Virginia, the Carolinas, has really been pounded by rainfall over the past couple of days, and that will continue to be the story over the next couple of days. Eventually, it'll make a move to the north, and we'll see how much moisture is left with that as it will be weakening at the same time it starts to move to the north later in the week. But for the next couple of days at least, maybe even through Wednesday, very nice conditions, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and very wet just to the south of there across the Carolinas into West Virginia. Well, here's the current radar map across the nation from WSI's Intellicast.com, and it kind of tells the whole story. Virtually rain-free in the Northeast, the Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic region down to southern Virginia, but then from southern Virginia all the way down through the Carolinas and west out to West Virginia, continued wet conditions, slow-moving system here, and it'll continue to pound away with some heavy rainfall over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. Again, maybe later in the week, it makes a move to the north, returning the chance for showers and thunderstorms probably Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, places like D.C., Philadelphia, maybe even as far north as New York City. It'll turn warmer at that time as well, as high pressure currently located to the north will shift off the coast, and we'll get into a southwesterly flow of air for the second half of the work week in the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, let's take a look at the 6Z operational run of the GFS. We'll look at 500 millibar height anomalies, then 850 millibar temperature anomalies, and then the surface maps. Here we are beginning the day here, and not only do you have low pressure at the surface right along the Carolina coastline with a stalled out frontal boundary zone, but you have a very healthy looking upper level low. And notice here, it's even got that negative tilt to it. The upper level low is situated right here, and the kind of trough axis drops off to the south and east, extends from the pressure center from the northwest to the southeast. That's what we call a negatively tilted trough, and it leads to very strong upward motion just to the east here, and that is indeed right over the Carolinas, contributing to the significant rain event that they've experienced over the past couple of days and will continue to experience for the next couple of days. We'll move forward here in time and watch what happens to this upper level low. It'll tend to make a move to the north. At the same time, it'll start to weaken, so it could produce some showers and thunderstorms in places like D.C. and Philadelphia during the second half of the work week here. Let's move forward here. They're just sitting and spinning. This is now Tuesday morning, still sitting right over the Carolinas. Continuation of very wet conditions in that part of the nation. Continuation of very nice conditions up across, let's say, DC north and east, and even DC north and west. High pressure ridging all the way from the Great Lakes to southeastern Canada keeps a refreshing air mass for this time of the year in that part of the country and into southeastern Canada as well. But then we move forward here into Wednesday, late Wednesday night, now into Thursday. Notice it's starting to expand a little bit to the north, but at the same time, this upper level low is starting to weaken a little bit. Nonetheless, it looks like chance for showers and thunderstorms will return to DC, Philadelphia, maybe even as far north as New York City for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday time frame as it turns warmer as well. And highs could find to the 70s over the next couple of days in those big cities, but probably near 90 degrees by the end of the work week. And it may not be the end of the refreshing air for the month of June. Let's just keep moving forward here. Now this is through the upcoming weekend, and then we go into next week, and look at this, another upper level system with cooler than normal air associated with it over the northern plains, and that will try to make a move into the eastern U.S. Here we are now into the middle part of next week. Pretty impressive looking feature in the upper part of the atmosphere. And again, there'll be cooler than normal air, places like the Great Lakes, and headed into the middle Atlantic region by the middle part of next week. Well, let's now take a look at the temperature pattern here. This is the 850 millibar temperature anomalies starting the week. Look at this widespread area, really from the Gulf region all the way up to southeastern Canada, below normal temperatures. And again, we have that upper level feature sitting over the Carolinas and the southeastern U.S. This cooler than normal weather will continue in the mid-Atlantic region right into midweek. Look at this, all the way down into the southeast U.S. Of course, this is associated down in this part of the nation with some rainfall. Even out west, a nice air mass for this time of the year across California, the northwestern part of the nation. This is the forecast map for Wednesday morning. Let's keep moving forward here. And as that upper level feature tends to weaken and tends to move to the north later in the week, we'll get warmer. High pressure at the surface will shift from north of the I-95 corridor region across southeastern Canada to off the coast by midweek. That'll open the door for some warmer air, and by later in the week, and here we are into the upcoming weekend, certainly back to normal, maybe even above normal. Places like DC, Philadelphia, New York City, probably pushing the 90-degree mark in the I-95 corridor region between DC and New York City by, let's say, Saturday of the upcoming weekend. But again, there's another cold air mass for this time of the year showing up on the weather maps this weekend, and that will slowly move across the Great Lakes and eventually move into the mid-Atlantic region by the middle part of next week. Well, let's now take a look at the surface forecast maps from the 6Z operational run of the GFS. Here it is, strong Canadian high pressure to the north across southeastern Canada, pushing refreshing air from off the still cool western Atlantic Ocean into the mid-Atlantic region. A little farther south, there's an upper level trough and a surface low pressure area right across the South Carolina coastline. Continuation of a wet pattern across southern Virginia, the Carolinas, all the way west into West Virginia. That will be the case for the next couple of days, and indeed, some of that rainfall will be heavy down there. Still some high pressure to the north as we begin the day on Tuesday, but notice it starts to head to the east. Once that shifts off the coast, that'll open the door for some warmer, more humid air to flow farther to the north into places like DC, Philadelphia, New York City by later in the week. And this area of moisture will also try to make a move to the north here. Now, by Wednesday morning, may hold on one more day at midweek on Wednesday for another day of decent weather in DC, Philadelphia, New York City, and then that moisture starts to move to the north. And notice here, by Thursday, we're seeing the chance of showers all the way up to into southern Pennsylvania. High pressure off the coast here. Once that high shifts off the coast, basically what happens is you have high pressure off the coast, you have clockwise flow around high pressure, and that will promote southwesterly flow of air, at least in the middle part of the atmosphere. That pushes warmer, more humid air farther to the north and east, into the DC New York City corridor right here, and that will also help to push that moisture farther to the north and east. Let's keep moving forward here. We have shower threat by late in the week, all the way up into New York State here by Friday afternoon, showing up with high pressure off the coast. And once it moves in, once that moisture moves in, it kind of stays unsettled, it looks like, right into the upcoming weekend. Very warm and humid by Saturday and Sunday, probably 88 to 90 degrees or so for highs at that time, all the way through the upcoming weekend. And again, we'll have especially afternoon shot at showers and thunderstorms in that period from Thursday right through the upcoming weekend. And then when we get into next week, we'll start looking north and west. There'll be a cold frontal system forming over the northern plains, and eventually another decent air mass for this time of the year. It looks like across the Great Lakes into the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. by the middle part of next week. So for the next couple of days, a continuation of spectacular weather conditions in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, throughout the northeast U.S., throughout the Great Lakes region, but a continuation of very wet conditions for the next couple of days across the Carolinas, maybe southern Virginia into West Virginia as well. All of that moisture starts to move to the north later in the week. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.